Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Dulce.
Hey.
So this is our very special Patreon thing. I forgot to hit the button, so I can't hear myself. There we go. That's so much better. I find it really hard to record if I don't hear myself.
Mm.
You don't, obviously.
No, because I'm not wearing headphones.
Yeah. And you
But I
never
can
do.
hear myself think.
Okay.
All right.
So this very special, very special Patreon episode is thanks to Claudia, who has requested this a couple of times. And I'm not gonna lie, I did just like have a quick, pretty brief look through Ranker and Reddit to get these stories, but it has led to another few things that I want to get into further down the line for like a more deep dive on this topic. For right now, this is just a snippet, I guess.
Okay.
So today we're talking hitchhiker stories.
Oh.
She's always this animated. Like, actually. So this first one is from... Actually, oh yeah, you said you did. You tried to run away when you were a little girl.
Yeah, I hitchhiked at 12.
I picked up a hitchhiker. At least once.
Mm.
And I only remembered this as I was, like, researching this the other day. I was working in, like, the countryside in Ireland. And where I was living, you could drive the highway, or you could do like these gnarly country back roads, and it would take like an extra 5 minutes. And for someone who enjoys driving, I would always take the gnarly back roads. But I was also like one of the only guys living out that particular way, so another apprentice came with me, or would come over to me in the morning, and I would bring him to school, as I'd say, to work with me. And this day we were flying down the road. I think there might have actually been three of us in the car. And we're driving down, like, I mean, like, back roads, like, nothing around for miles. And there's just these two guys, like, thumbing it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm pretty sure I had to swerve to avoid them and all. And the lad in the car was like, go back and get them. Go back and get them. Go back and pick them up. See where they go. He was, like, real excited because it wasn't his car, so he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned out, thankfully, they were just two really nice, like, Italian or German guys. They were foreign guys anyway. And they were like, yeah, we knew we were coming here for business, so we thought, like, hey, we'll hike the back roads and go here, there, or wherever. But when they mapped it out, they did it as the crow flies. Whereas, so they weren't looking at the roads. They were like, oh, it's only like 15 kilometers. But when you do, like, windy mountain roads, that turns into like 50 kilometers.
Oh, okay.
And they were like miles and miles from the town where they were going.
Where were they going?
To the town where I was working.
Oh,
thankfully.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I picked them up and dropped them off. But yeah, other than that, I feel like there was one more like hitchhiker story that I personally had where I picked somebody up. But I don't know. Either way, I was lucky that time, and I don't think I will be doing it ever again.
Yeah, me neither.
Especially not over here.
No, I'd rather walk.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. So this one is from Reddit user The Best Jeans. So this was told to me by an old family friend, Nikki, numerous times as a kid growing up, as one of those life advice stories to keep in your mind through the years. And to her credit, I have never forgotten it. Whenever anything associated with hitchhiking comes up, it always springs to mind and probably always will. Makes me a bit ill whenever I think about it, actually. I can't remember where this is going. So Nikki, who grew up in the same town as my dad around the early 80s, was a young woman in her mid-20s. She's one of those real kind-hearted souls, always willing to help another out in a time of need, you know? And I can't imagine her being anything other than that when she was younger, so I totally see her doing this too. So driving into the city, about a 2-hour or so drive out from town, she saw a man walking down the side of the road. As she neared, he turned and, in typical hitchhiker manner, stuck out the old arm and thumb. Nikki, bless her heart, pulled over and asked him if he needed any help. She told me he was really polite, if not a bit shy, when he asked for a lift into the city. Nikki gave a smile and popped open the passenger door for the guy, who tossed his bag in the back seat and buckled up for the ride ahead. They talked pleasantly for most of the trip, about friends, the news, etc. She felt that they were getting on really well, and even bought him dinner at the pit stop a little over halfway there. She says he seemed really flustered and awkward when she paid, but one of the things they had talked about was money and how he was pretty dang strapped for cash, which was why he was hitchhiking in the first place. But he eventually relented and they went on their way. As soon as they got into the city, he thanked her profusely for the ride and the food and asked to be dropped off once they hit downtown. Before getting out, he asked for Nikki's phone number so he could contact her someday and catch up. Thrilled at the prospect of knowing how her new friend was faring, Nikki wrote it down for him and drove off with the warm feeling of a good deed done. Now, I'm sorry if you were expecting something creepy to have happened by now, but I think this is what freaked me out so much as a kid. How nice everything seemed to have worked out. Nikki would get this crease in her forehead and a funny look in her eye when she would tell me the next part. A week later, she got a phone call from her driving buddy. He didn't let her get a word in edgewise after hello and told her that she should thank God that she was raised so nice, because when he first got in her car, he was planning on raping and murdering her once they got to that pit stop. That he was going to steal that car and dump her body in a ditch further down the road and go on his merry way. But after she talked with him so kindly and treated him to dinner with a smile on her face, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't think that he could live with himself after doing that to such a nice lady. And so please, Nikki, please, never, ever pick up another hitchhiker. Then he hung up the phone. Nikki never got a call from him again. When she tried redialing the number, she got a payphone. And so, Mr. Hitchhiker, I know I'm never going to meet you, because I'm going to listen to the advice you gave your driving buddy and never, ever pick up a hitchhiker.
That's wild.
How fucking nuts is that?
That's so crazy.
It's a good thing she was nice, but like at the same time, if someone's nice enough to pull over and pick you up, like how much nicer did they have to be? Like at what point, if she hadn't bought him dinner maybe?
I just feel like, okay, like rapists, like because their thing is that they're cowards, right? If they feel like they can take you on, then they'll take you on. I just think this is very strange behavior of someone who is, a rapist.
Or so they claim anyway.
Because a rapist would have raped her, especially because she was so nice. She's probably like, oh, I can take her for a fucking ride because she has no idea that I'm this awful person. And then, do the deed, kill her, whatever. And then later on explain away that it was her fault for being so nice. Trusting or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's just a strange story.
Yeah, odd. Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on. This next one is from Ghoster2K. When on long road trips, I'm usually looking at the road or the scenery. I should hope you're looking at the road. I'm usually just looking.
Good for you. I feel like that's my dad. Sometimes he'll be driving and then he'll be looking off. And when he does that, when I used to ride with him, I'd get so fucking nervous.
Yeah, I don't fucking blame you.
And then sometimes I catch you doing it, and that makes me nervous. And you already know I'm a very nervous passenger.
Yeah, but I know what I'm doing, though.
I'm sure he does, too.
Okay. When on long road trips, I'm usually looking at the road or the scenery going by while talking with Carrie or listening to music via my iPhone. On the morning of February 24th, at 1:30 a.m., I checked out of the Wyndham Hotel. I checked out of the Wyndham Hotel early so as to get a jump on the traffic. I was awake and alert while driving and concentrating on the road ahead of me. Not long after leaving the vicinity of Baton Rouge and going through the wetlands of Louisiana, I became aware of a presence in my car. In the peripheral vision of my right eye, I saw a young woman. She had long, wavy black hair and was wearing big, round sunglasses. This sounds like you. Kind of like the type that were in style back in the 1960s. Picture Jackie Onassis. When I looked right at her, she would be gone. She never looked at me, but only at the road ahead. She never said a word, even when I spoke with her. Instead of continuing on I-10, I took a right turn onto 96 in Beaumont and then left on 105. From that point on, I never saw her again. I'm wondering who she was and why she chose to ride with me out of New Orleans in the middle of the night. That's fucking weird.
That is.
That was one of the ones I was like, I was kind of more shocked because normally when you hear like ghost stories like that, you know, you pull over on the side of the road and you pick them up and then there's nobody in the car.
Yeah.
But this kind of was like the middle, but not the start or the end. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so this one is from, Jason is so handsome.
All right.
Yeah. And he says, not my story, but my history teacher's hitchhiker's story.
Okay.
As a teenager, my teacher lived in Cook County, Illinois, and frequently would walk around the town or the city, as most people do. One day, he was offered a ride by a large-ish man. The driver had a clown suit and makeup kit in the back of the car because he said he worked as a clown part-time. Never trust him. Which should have sent bells ringing, but he thought nothing of it. So he got driven to his mom's house and thanked the driver and left. My history teacher said the driver was one of the most polite people he has ever met. Any guesses?
John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy. Yep. A few years later, my teacher found out that the man he got into a car with was John Wayne Gacy.
Fucking hell, man.
I knew actually
the fuck out.
I knew when I read Cook County, I was like, why does this sound familiar?
I'm telling you, dude, those are some strange ass stories, man. These rapists are cowards and opportunists. What is going on?
But as well, I remember hearing, probably not reading, a thing about John Wayne Gacy where sometimes he would start, like even so much as like he would start beating his victims and then he'd just lose interest midway through. Like before even getting to the sexual assault, and like when there was nothing stopping him or anything, he would just like, fuck it. But this also reminds me of the other hitchhiking story I had. Not so much hitchhiking, but there's this old man who lives on the corner of my road where I grew up. He has a beard actually like mine. And he was just always very quiet and looked like, I guess, brooding. Bless you.
Thanks.
But yeah, one day I was walking home and it was like pouring rain. And out of nowhere, this guy just shows up. And I was like 10, 15 minutes from home or whatever.
Yeah.
But he literally just pulled up and he's like, get in. So I did. And like I recognized him, but I'd never spoken to him. And as I get into his car, it's one of the dirtiest cars I've ever been in. Like not only like messy, like he had receipts and piles of papers and drawings and like coffee cups and shit. Like the whole passenger footwell was full.
Yeah.
But also the car itself was just dirty.
Yeah.
Like as if the car was a construction worker. But yeah, gave me a lift home and that was it. And for like ages after that, I was like, anytime I would see him, I'd be like, oh, hey, like, you know, just being polite. He never, like, he knew who I was because he pulled over and just said, get in.
Yeah.
But, like, even now when I see him, he just won't even acknowledge me.
So strange.
Yeah, that was weird.
People are weird.
So anyway, this next one is from Reddit user Summit.
Huh.
My older brother picked up a hitchhiker once after a night of light drinking. Okay. The way I heard the story relayed was that after driving for a few minutes, the man pulled out a shotgun.
Whoa.
God knows how he concealed it. The cops never really figured out that detail of the story. He declared that he was going to steal the car. Well, my brother, being the self-proclaimed tough guy that he was, wasn't going to have this. So he stopped and tried to pull the guy out of the car to the ground. Next thing you know, my brother has a shotgun wound that blew off a chunk of his bicep. And the hitchhiker runs off. He made a decent recovery, but he still has a chunk gone from his arm and isn't able to lift heavy things anymore with that one. I will never pick up a hitchhiker.
Holy shit.
Fucking hell. I wonder how that even... Yeah.
I bet it looks like just someone took a bite out of him.
Yeah, man, maybe.
That's crazy, man.
Anyway, this one I might have just included because of the username. Raccoon Yeti Kiwi.
That's her favorite animal, kind of cup, and fruit.
Kind of cup or cryptid. Anyway.
You were expecting me to say cryptid.
Yeah, I was, yeah. I didn't pick him up myself, but I was with my father who was driving. We got him during the rain. He had long hair that covered his eyes, and he was carrying an axe. He looked oddly like a long-haired Hitler.
What?
He had the dark hair and mustache. Who still has a Hitler mustache? Like, you cannot wear them.
And he was emanating anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Well, he was extremely polite.
Weird.
And we dropped him off where he needed to go with no problems. I like to think he was just a very polite murderer. I did that all the time to see how people reacted. That's it.
Weird. He was doing a social experiment.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, these hitchhiker stories are throwing me for a loop.
They're kind of all over the place, right?
They're just kind of strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get like a kind of a broad
Yeah.
thing without like, because some of them were just like, picked up a hitchhiker. He was rude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like, but really fucking long versions of that, basically. Anyway, this next one is from A Brutal Cow. Not my story, but my dad's. He was traveling through Arizona on his way to Mexico. He looked to the side of the road and saw a man hitchhiking. My dad pulled over and asked where the guy's going to which the man said the next town over.
I'm laughing because he said he turned over and asked the guy where the guy is. And I just imagine the guy like, hey man, where are you? Where'd you go?
Shut up.
He's just like, where'd you go?
Turned out my dad had actually run over him.
Where'd the guy go?
Okay. My dad, being a very trusting man, and this being the 70s or 80s, decided he would give him a ride. While they are driving, they start talking. And my father asked for a name. This is why I included this.
What?
And my father asked for his name. His name was Derp.
What? Spell it.
Derp.
Oh my god, that's what I call pork chop when she's doing derpy things.
Oh, wait, it gets better. My dad, quite shocked. Quite shocked.
Was it short for Derpus Manerpus?
Well, listen. My dad, quite shocked, looked at him and replied, "Holy crap, that's my name."
You're lying.
Yeah, sure to God. They had a few small conversations, and at the next town, my dad let him out and continued to Mexico. He eventually reached the border. He pulled up, and the border official asked to see his license. He took a good long look at the license. The official then took off his big aviator sunglasses and told him to pull over to the side. My dad got out of the car, and they put him in a room while they searched his car. He was sitting in the room for a good few hours, admiring the entire wall of confiscated tequila, when the officer walked back in and apologized for the wait. My dad asked what the reason was, and the officer replied, "There's a warrant out for the arrest of Derp." Once again, dazed, my dad asked, "What for?" The officer replied, "Murder."
Oh.
My dad damn near crapped his pants.
Oh.
That's the end of the story.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's a good thing his name was Derp.
Derp a derp derp
Hey,
derp.
derp,
Derp derp.
Derp, derp. Okay, this is the last one. And it's called The Bulgarian Ghost Hitchhiker!
Norwegian board.
Yeah, Luigi board. This is from Regis Siora. For the past few months, dozens of drivers driving along the road to the village of Lesovo in Yambol, Bulgaria, say they have clearly seen a young girl's spirit suddenly appearing on the road, and her terrifying appearance has made them shudder. That's all. Ooh. The woman was dressed in white and looked absolutely real. Usually she appeared from nowhere, and according to eyewitnesses, she was so depressed that there was no way for a man not to stop to help her. Probably a fatal error. According to the locals, every single time the dead hitchhiker whispers the name of the town or village to which the victim is going. Of course, the man almost always offers to take her with him, as they are both traveling the same direction. Quote, "The lady sat in the back seat and didn't want to sit next to me. I looked at her from time to time. She was very attractive, but very pale, deep in sorrow," says Paul Velkov from Yambol. "I did a few attempts to talk to her, but she did not answer me. About 2 kilometers before Lesovo, I suddenly noticed she was gone. I was shaken. Immediately I went to some near relative's house and told them about the ghost. It turned out that this had happened to other people too. I was told that this woman had recently passed away and now wanders as a ghost on the road and often stops strangers. The most scary thing, however, is that she usually attacks them. Whoa. She has even caused several serious crashes. A local old man had a heart attack when he realized he was driving a ghost around. He lost control of his car and crashed into a tree. It is not known what the deceased woman desires and why she haunts the drivers. Some say the woman had been waiting for her husband to return from abroad for years, but he never came. She was sick and died of sorrow, and most likely she is avenging her unfair death now." According to Vladimir Lisichkov, Bulgaria's top expert in the area of the supernatural, mystical, and conspiracy theories, a priest must be called to perform a cleansing ritual on the haunted road and at the home of the dead lady. But her loved ones deny her ghost appears in the area and scare people. And that's it.
All right.
That's it. There you go. There's some hitchhiker stories. But like I said, this is a small few, and I had never looked into it before. It never even crossed my mind until it was suggested. Much like last week's La Chance family haunting. But yeah, there was definitely a handful of stories in there that I thought, I'm going to keep this.
Yeah.
And add it to another kind of deep dive or something further down the road. I just hope now that I can find them again, because I definitely don't think I saved them. But yeah, there you go, guys. There's your extra creep. And let us know if you like the whole video format. I don't know how well that's going to work out. But yeah, so just so you can all see, here is the list. This is the actual Patreon list that had been suggested, and I'm sure that there are more, but just know that we are taking the Patreon requests as a priority, and we are slowly working through them. And yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, right on. So see you guys next week for another video. Again, let us know how you like this. I'm going to be releasing it in video and audio, because I know not everybody has the luxury of
video
sitting down and actually watching the video. So, but again,
not everybody likes our faces.
I don't. I like yours.
Literally your wife sitting in front of you.
I mean, yours is fine. But yeah, okay, guys. Thanks for
Okay,
being
bye.
patrons. Bye. Dirty pervert. Who is he?